Good evening, everybody. If I can have you get ready, I'm going to open up this meeting and call the meeting to order at 6 p.m. This meeting has been properly noticed and posted in compliance with the open meeting law. These proceedings are being video recorded as well as presented live on KCLV Cable Channel 2. Please note customers of CenturyLink and Cox Communication can view this program in high definition on Channel 1002 and standard definition on Channel 2. You can also watch this meeting live on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire TV and the Go app. The Planning Commission meeting, as well as all other KCLV programs, can be viewed on the internet at www.kclv.tv/live. The proceedings will be rebroadcasted on KCLV and the web the Saturday of the meeting at 10 a.m., Monday at midnight, and the following Tuesday at 6 p.m. Would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? For which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you. Can I have a roll call, please, Madam Clerk?
Chair DeSalvio.
Present.
Vice Chair Schlottman.
Present.
Commissioner Cherry.
Present.
Commissioner Toussaint. Present. Commissioner Williams.
Present.
Commissioner Rogan.
Present.
Commissioner Chadha.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 4, public comment. All comments under this item for a specific action item will be cross-referenced to those items. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak under this portion of the agenda? Seeing none, I'll close the public. Do we have anything online, Council? All right, thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 5 for possible action to approve the final minutes of the Planning Commission meeting of August 11, 2020. I myself will abstain from those minutes as I was not here.
And Commissioner Cherry?
Through the chair, I will also abstain. I was not at the meeting.
Okay. I would make a motion to approve those Planning Commission minutes.
Okay, you've heard the motion. Could you please cast your vote? And that motion carries. Moving on to item number 6 for possible action. This is the housekeeping. Let's move on to those items. As any of these items that the commissioner, staff, or applicants or members of the public would like to pull forward for action?
Mr. Chairman, we have a housekeeping item. The applicant wishes to obey items 19, A and B to the October 13th, 2020 Planning Commission meeting. This is the second abeyance request for these items. Thank you.
Thank you. Does any commissioner have anything? Commissioner Schlottman?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would move to hold item 19 to the October 13th, 2020 Planning Commission hearing.
Mr. Chair, I believe the applicant for item, was it 25 was going to come up.
Good evening, Laura Drea, 520 South 4th Street. I'm standing in for Zahir Faki, who's the representative on item 25. He has written a letter to request that matter be held over until October 13th as well.
Thank you. Commissioner?
Yes, I will amend my motion to hold that. That was item 25 until the October. Sorry?
Commissioner A and B, 25A and B.
25A and B to the October 13th, 2020 Planning Commission hearing.
Thank you. You've heard the motion. Please cast your vote. And that motion carries. Moving on, consent items. Consent or routine by the Planning Commission may be acted upon by one motion. However, any items discussion of commission members for application to desires, I'd like to entertain a motion for items 7 through 9. Motion to approve.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to approve items 7 through 9 on the consent agenda.
You've heard the motion. Please cast your vote. And that motion carries. Moving on to one motion, one vote.
Mr.
Oh,
Chairman,
go
if
ahead.
I may, just real quick, those 3 items on your consent agenda are final action this evening. Item 7 is final action unless appealed to the city clerk's office in 10 days. Items 8 and 9 are final action this evening unless appealed to the city clerk's office within 7 days. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Summerfield. Okay, moving on to one motion, one vote. The following are items that may be considered under one motion, one vote. They're considered routine, non-public, and public hearing items. All public hearing and non-public hearing will be open at one time. Any person representing an applicant or a member of the public or a member of the planning commission not in agreement with the conditions and all standards, conditions for this application recommendation by staff should request to have this item removed from this part of the agenda. Item number 10, 20-0085-VAR1 for the possible action on a land use entitlement project request for a variance to allow a 21-foot yard setback where 25 feet at the minimum is required for a lot 8 of a previous approved single-family residential subdivision on the east side of Bradley Road, approximately 315 feet north of Rome Boulevard. Staff recommends approval. Item number 11.
Mr. Chairman, Jim Lewis here, City Attorney. I do have an item for number 10 to read in. Would you like to read it in now or at the end of one
Go
motion,
ahead.
one vote?
Please do.
Planning Commission, we have reviewed the variance request 20-0085-VAR1 scheduled for Planning Commission agenda on September 8th at 6 p.m. We respectively oppose this request as it does not match nor complement the surroundings, properties, or subdivisions. This is in response to notification 20-0085-VAR1 received by mail, Diana, Barrett, Christopher, Jane. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Item number 11, 20-0048-SUP1 for the possible action on a land use entitlement project request for a special use permit for a proposed 522 square foot massage establishment use with a waiver to allow a 0-foot separation from an individual care center licensed for more than 12 children, a parcel zone for residential use with 118 feet from a city park where 400 feet is required, and to allow a 0-foot separation from an existing massage establishment where 1,000 feet is required at 7477 Westlake Mead Boulevard. Staff recommends approval. Item number 12, 20-0084-SUP1 for the possible action on a land use entitlement project request for a special use permit for a proposed restaurant with a drive-through use at the northwest corner of Osa Blanca Road and Durango Drive, Ward 6. Staff recommends approval. Item number 13, 20-0090-SUP1 for the possible action on a land use entitlement project for a special use permit for a proposed 377 square foot beer and wine cooler on sale establishment use with a 600-foot outdoor seating area at 2620 Regatta Drive, Suite 119. Staff recommends approval. Item number 14, 20-0051-VAC1 for proposed action on a land use entitlement project request for a petition to vacate a portion of public drainage and sewer easement generally located at Stephen Avenue, west of Hualapai Way. Staff recommends approval. Item number 15, 20-0064-VAC1 for the possible action on a land use entitlement project request for a petition to vacate patent easement at the northwest corner of Durrell Lane and Campbell Road. The staff recommends approval. Item number 16, 20-0065-VAC1 for the possible action on a land use entitlement project request for petition to vacate a sewer easement generally located at the northwest corner of Wells Green Lane and Hampton Lane. Staff recommends approval. Item number 17, 20-0068-VAC1 for the possible action on a land use entitlement project request for a petition to vacate a 30-foot wide public sewer easement generally located at northeast corner of Red Point Drive and Carriage Hills Drive. Staff recommends approval. And Ms. Eric, would you like to?
Mr. Chairman, staff would like to note that for item number 13, 20-0090-SUP1, the applicant has updated the request to not include the 600 square feet of outdoor seating. Approval of the application would only include the 377 square feet of floor space within the suite.
Thank you. And I also believe, does Ms. Stewart need to come forward, or she already took care of that for?
We do have a letter from Ms. Stewart. I do not see her in the audience, though. So.
Okay. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
I am in the notification area for item number 11, but it doesn't impact me anyway, so I'll be voting. But on item number 13, this is in Desert Shores. I'm the Vice President of Desert Shores Community Association, so I will be abstaining.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Jennifer Langer. I'm representing the Stewart community.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm Jennifer Laner. I'm representing Ms. Stewart in these proceedings. She couldn't be here this evening. So I just, JENNIFERLEHNER, 7151 Summer Grove Avenue, Las Vegas, 89117. She did submit a letter stating that they no longer wish to have the outdoor seating.
Okay, thank you. Seeing none?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion on the one motion, one vote items. I'd move to approve items 10 through 17 with the amended item 13 to only be for special use permit for the proposed 377 square foot beer wine cooler on sale establishment use without the 600 square feet of outdoor seating. And that would be a motion for approval.
Thank you. You've heard the motion. Please cast your vote. And that motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, items 10, 13 through 17 are final action this evening unless appealed to the city clerk's office within 10 days. Items 11 and 12 will move forward to city council and be heard as a part of their agenda on October 21st, 2020. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to be moving on to the public hearing, but I am going to go a little bit out of skew here, so I'm going to pull item number 27 forward. Please come to the podium, state your name for the record. Thank you. Oh, here we go. It's 20-0067-SDR1. It's for the possible action on a land use entitlement project request for a site development plan review for a proposed city park with a waiver of a perimeter landscape buffer standards on the north side of Mount Maria Drive and Martin Luther King Boulevard at Ward 5. Staff recommends approval. Can I have the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the proposed park is compatible with adjacent development and the surrounding area. The development will add needed park space adjacent to the Las Vegas Historic West Side District and will provide an area of green space in a heavily urbanized area. Staff recommends approval on the site development plan review and all associated waiver requests. Thank you.
Thank you. Please state your name for the record.
Sam Tolman, Tolman. I represent the city engineer section of Public Works, 495 Main Street. I'm the project manager on the project, and we concur with all of staff's recommendations.
Thank you. This is noticed as a public hearing. Anybody from the public wish to be heard on this agenda item? Seeing none here, I'll close the public hearing here. Anything online, council?
No, sir, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, I'll turn it over to Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As noted in the staff report, this park is compatible with the area and will definitely upgrade in terms of adding that greenscape. So unless we have any comments from my fellow commissioners here, I'm ready to make a motion.
Please do.
I'd like to make a motion for approval on item 200067 SDR1.
You've heard the motion. Please cast your vote. And that motion carries.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that item is final action this evening unless appealed to the city clerk's office within 10 days.
Thank you. Moving on to related items 18, 18A, and 18B. It's an abeyance item for the possible action on the following land use entitlement project request for the northeast corner of Bonanza Road and Clarkway Drive on the south side of Bonanza Road, west of Martin Luther King Boulevard, Ward 5. 18A, abeyance 7875 9-VAR1 to allow a 0-foot yard setback where 10 feet is required. Staff recommends approval. 18B, abeyance 78759 SDR1 for the proposed demolition and reconfiguration of an existing heavy machinery and equipment rental sales service development that includes a new 7,056 square foot sales and rental building and a 20,000 square foot maintenance building with a waiver of the perimeter landscape requirements. Staff recommends approval. Staff report, please.
Mr. Chairman, evidence of a unique circumstance has been presented in that the applicant previously received approval for a variance for the same subject structure, but was unable to complete the building permit review process and receive a final inspection for the structure that would have allowed conformance to Title 19 requirements. The proposed redevelopment modernizes an existing commercial industrial facility and meets the intent of Title 19 to promote improved design and enhanced site planning of commercial industrial development that will contribute to the overall attractiveness of the city. Therefore, staff recommends approval of both applications. Please note that there have been additional letters of support and protest since publication. Thank you.
Thank you. Please state your name for the record.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. My name is George Rogers. I'm the architect for the project representing the applicant. We were here a month ago, and there were some people from the Bonanza Village neighborhood who weren't familiar with the project. And between us and them, I requested to hold the item so that we had an opportunity to have a neighborhood meeting and I could explain it to them. Our development is about 1,000 feet away from Washington and the first home in Bonanza Village. So we're really pretty far away from them. However, they did raise an important point during the neighborhood meeting. Apparently, there was some agreement that was made between the property owner and the Bonanza Village some time ago where there was going to be no storage next to the Washington fence line, which is closest to the Bonanza Village. Now, I think that staff was going to look into that, and I haven't had the benefit of knowing what staff found out. I asked the representatives at Ahern, and they really didn't remember anything about it, and I don't know if staff was able to find anything, but that was the only issue that came out of the meeting. But again, we're 1,000 feet away with our project, and so I can answer any questions. I appreciate staff's recommendation for approval.
Thank you. Can I get your name one more time, because I did catch it?
Yes, sir. George Rogers, architect.
All right, thank you. This is noticed as a public hearing. Anybody from the public wish to be heard on these agenda items? Seeing none here, I'll close it. And anything online, sir?
No online comments, Chairman.
All right, at this time, then, I'll turn it over to the Commissioner, Commissioner Williams.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Rogers, yes, you were before us a month ago, and so thank you for going back and having that meeting, and I had a chance to partake in on most of it. And while there was quite a bit explained in terms of what the project was and lines that delineate, how close we are to the road in Washington and Bonanza, Mr. Rogers is correct. There was still some concern in terms of what was previously committed to by the owner. We didn't get an answer, but did staff follow up, or do we know?
Mr. Chairman, through you, I would go to Mr. Lowenstein. I don't believe that staff is aware of any condition, but I'll let Mr. Lowenstein speak to it.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. A third-party agreement that the city's not party to, we wouldn't really have any record of unless they made us party of it, and to our records, we wouldn't be in that two-party scenario.
Thank you, Mr. Lowenstein. So at this time, based on staff's recommendation and certainly the owners and representation following up and having the homeowners meeting, I'm ready to make a recommendation.
Yes, if no other commissioner has any questions on A and B, then I would call that you would do a blanket motion, please.
I'd like to make a blanket motion on item 78759, motion for approval A and B.
You've heard the motion. Please cast your vote. And that motion carried.
And
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chairman, that project in its entirety will move forward to City Council and be heard as a part of their agenda on October 21st, 2020.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to related items 20A and I and J, A through I and J. Agenda item 2020-0081 for the possible action on the following land use entitlement project request at the southeast corner of Helena Avenue and Grand Canyon Drive. Ward 4, staff recommends denial. 20A through I is 20-0081 VAR 1 through VAR 9 to allow the lot size ranging from 13,102 square feet to 16,759 square feet, where 18,000 square feet is the minimum allowed, a 20-foot yard setback where 30 feet is required, and a 30-foot rear yard setback where 35 feet is required for lots 1 through 9. Staff recommends denial. And item J is 20-0081 VAR 10 to allow a hammerhead stub street where a cul-de-sac is required. Staff recommends denial. Can I have the staff report, please?
Chairman, we have a K and an L as well.
I see it, I'm sorry. Okay, moving on to 20K, 20-0081 VAR 11 to allow RTC Regional Transportation Commission of Southern Nevada rural offset improvements where Title 19 offset improvements are required. Staff recommends denial. And item I, 20I, L is 20-0081 TMP1 for a 9-lot single-family residential subdivision. Staff recommends denial. Staff report, please.
Mr. Chairman, before we move to the staff report, Mr. Chair?
Please.
Thank you. I need to know for the record that I'll be abstaining from this matter. This consideration of these items may implicate the interlocal agreement regarding land use matters between the county and the city, and I work for the county and the district attorney's office, and so it would create a conflict of interest for me, so I will not participate in project 20-0081.
Thank you, Commissioner Rogan, for the abstention. Is anybody else? All right, hearing none. Applicant, please state your name for the record.
Mr. Chair, would you like the staff report?
Oh, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, the proposed development fails to meet minimum lot size requirements for both Title 19 and the interlocal agreement. Staff finds no evidence of a unique or extraordinary circumstance to support any of the requested variances and that the applicant's hardship is preferential in nature. Staff therefore recommends denial of all applications. Please note that there have been additional letters of support and protest since publication. Thank you.
Thank you. Please state your name for the record.
Good evening, Commissioners. And if you can't hear me, is it okay for me to take off the mask? All right. I think it'll be easier. Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. Lebanon Heaney, 520 South 4th Street, representing the applicant for this application.
What was your name? What was your name again?
Lebany Ohene, Lebene, first name, last name Ohene, Ohene, without the apostrophe. All right. This project is located in an area which is within an interlocal agreement area between the city and the county. This parcel was originally 10 acres when it was sold and was subdivided into 2 5-acre pieces. It's located on the southeast corner of Helena Avenue and Grand Canyon Drive. Now, staff, based on staff's analysis, they had said that there was no justification of it. This parcel is about 4.97 acres, but a total of 8 acres. A total of approximately 5 acres. So it's encumbered by 3 streets: Grand Canyon to the west, Helena Avenue to the north, and Hickam Avenue to the south, and also a drainage channel that runs in between the sides. So if staff can bring that up, please, or I can show my plans. Now, the project does comply to 2 of the interlocal agreement requirements. It is zoned RE. It's still designated in the general plan as RNP. The density is 1.81 dwelling units per acre, therefore meeting the 2 dwelling units per acre requirements. This area, as you can see, is totally surrounded by county parcels that are zoned RE, just like in the city. Directly north of this parcel is an RE zone piece within Clark County, within the interlocal agreement that was approved for the same 9-lot residential subdivision that is proposed in the city. Basically, that project and this project mirror each other. In the county, you would need about 3 waivers for the total application, and that was approved in 2018 under the interlocal agreement. So directly south is this project. It's the same 9 lots, and it's mirrored directly south. With city requirements, each lot has to have the 3 waivers we're requesting, which is the lot size, the front setback and the rear setback. And as you can see, right under the first 2 lots is the common area that has to be taken out. In the county, with a development like this, you can go to the center line of the street, which increases the net acreage. In the city, you have to take this street out. So as you look in the area, and if you drive the area, all the parcels that are developed in the county are 9-lot subdivisions, same way. Some of them have waivers for the lot sizes. Some of them, because they go into the center line of the street, don't need any waivers. So this is one area, if you drive it, unless you work in the city or the county, you're not gonna know the difference as to what's in the city, what's in the county. And as you drive it, you're just gonna see subdivisions, large lot subdivisions with residences on it, most of them 4,000 square foot plus, and that's the same proposed for this lot. So our request is to consider the fact that we're in an interlocal agreement, and technically the waivers we're requesting, which is to reduce the lot size, is basically mirror to the north, where lot sizes were reduced as well, and the density is higher or lower than the 2 dwelling units per acre that's allowed, and that's the same thing that was done exactly to the north. So the gates of these 2 subdivisions will face each other, and you won't know, driving the area, the difference between the north and the south of Helena Drive. The only item we do not meet within this interlocal agreement is the lot size. And the county is within the agreement, and this was approved with the reduced lot size as well. So with that said, if you don't have any questions, I think we've made the case to justify why this subdivision in the city, totally surrounded by county properties, is appropriate and compatible in the area. Thank you. And with me is our engineer, if you have any technical questions.
Okay, thank you. This is noticed as a public hearing. Does anybody from the public here wish to be heard on this item? Please come forward and state your name for the record. If you just step back, ma'am, and let him.
Sure.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Eugene Kodiak-Yazzie. I'm actually a resident and owner on TP Lane, 4235 TP Lane. On the aerials you're showing right there, I back up 2 parcels away from the subject that we're talking about here. And, you know, I speak for a lot of the residents that are there, and I think that's why you had a lot of the comments that were submitted online and a lot of the opposition that's been posted, just because that's the lifestyle we have up there, the rural zoning for the half acre, and that's kind of, you know, what people invest and buy and want to be a part up there, and that's one of the reasons we do it. It's not a planned community, it's not, you know, Summerlin or Providence or Mountain's Edge or something of that nature where it's, you know, appropriate for something like that to reduce the lot size. So from the public side of it, you know, I strongly oppose something like that with a reduced lot size.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Does anybody else here wish to be heard? Seeing none, I'll close here and go online. Council?
Nothing online, Your Chairman.
All right.
I gave you a title bomb.
I got a raise.
Sorry.
Okay, seeing none, I will turn it over to Commissioner Toussaint.
Thank you, Chairman. And thank you, Ms. Nohini, for coming, and thank you for talking to me on the phone the other day. I really appreciate it. One of the things that you are requiring here, or you're asking for, is the hammerhead. And that's something that we have approved in the past, and I believe we need to be consistent. And since we've approved hammerheads in other communities, I would support that. As far as the interlocal agreement and having the county surround this property, personally, I don't find a problem with the reduced lot size, since it will mirror the county, and the other properties are like that. And I do understand that Eugene, is that what your name? I'm sorry. When he was here, and he was opposed to the reduced lot size, and I understand that, and I appreciate him coming here. But as far as the what you're proposing here, I agree with it. I think it's compatible with the area. I believe that the reduced lot size will mirror the county, and nobody will know the difference. And once it's there, I think people will be very happy. So. Does anybody else have anything else
I
to
just
say?
got one comment. If you could put back up on the overhead your drawings, I just wanted to know where was the 13,000 square foot lot more towards the back of the property? Is that where that's generally located, and the larger lots are towards the entrance?
Towards the entrance is a 13,000 square foot lot. But just because of the way they are laid out and with the gates, they look actually larger. And if you go to the opposite side, it basically mirrors the same thing on the opposite side as well. As it goes to the back, the lots are larger. The largest lots are to the back of the subdivision. And they basically back onto Hickam Avenue. So there's a street between that and the next 5-acre parcel.
Okay, thank you. If any other commissioner doesn't have any comments on any of them, then I would call that you would do a blanket motion on that agenda item, please.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I would make a blanket motion on item 20A, all the way through 20L. Motion to approve.
You've heard the motion. Please cast your vote.
Commissioner Rogan?
And that motion carries.
And Mr. Chairman, those items for this project 20-0081, inclusive of items A through L, are final action this evening unless appealed to the city clerk's office within 10 days.
Thank you, commissioners. Thank you, staff. Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.
Moving on to agenda item number 21-78560-VAR1 for the possible action on a land use entitlement project request for a variance to allow an existing 7-foot tall fence in the front yard where a 5-foot with 2 feet solid is the maximum allowance at 1920 West Oakley Boulevard. Staff recommends denial. May I have the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, no evidence of unique or extraordinary circumstance has been presented, and that the applicant has created a self-imposed hardship by erecting a fence that does not comply with Title 19 development standards and without obtaining building permits. Staff therefore recommends denial of the variance. Please note that there have been additional letters of support since publication. Thank you.
Please state your name for the record.
Yeah, Yanelkis Las Nemencarosa.
Can you spell that for the clerk?
Sure, it's Yanelkis. And Carosa is Carroza.
Thank you very much. Would you like to talk about your application, please?
Yeah. So basically, we when we bought that property, was basically laid out the same way. We renew it, and we add some stones to it and make it a little fancy. Our main concern was always safety. We had to call a few times the police because people trespassing the property and making it higher. It was going to be better for all of us. Also, it matches the neighbors on the west and east side, and I believe on most of the street itself. I believe because of the same reason, mainly security. Specifically in our fence, we try to keep that opening with the iron, but they told us the main issue is the column. That's considered like a block area, so that wouldn't be in compliance with with the whole, yeah. So, yeah, not much to say, yeah.
Okay, no, thank you. This is noticed as a public hearing. Anybody from the public wish to be heard on this item? Seeing none here, I'll turn it over to council.
Nothing online, Chairman.
All right, thank you. Before I turn it over to Commissioner Rogan, I can tell you I probably drove past that property about 11 times today. And as far as I'm concerned, if you weren't here today, I wouldn't even know that it wasn't harmonious and compatible because it matched just the same elevations of everything down that street.
Yeah,
And we've had, I
basically the
believe,
column.
yeah, we've had this issue with other properties, if I'm not mistaken, that came before us to get it rectified. And like I said, I stand in support of it, but I will turn it over to Commissioner Rogan.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have nothing more to add than what you've said this evening.
Thank you. Well, if that's the case, I would entertain a motion, please.
Thank you. I move to approve item 21-78560-VAR1.
You've heard the motion. Please cast your vote.
And for the record, Madam Clerk, my computer's frozen and I vote yay.
And that motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Mr. Chairman, that item is final action this evening unless appealed to the city clerk's office within 10 days.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 22, 20-0031 VAR1 for the possible action on a land use entitlement project request for a variance to allow 5 addresses where 1 address is allowed for a previously approved senior citizen apartment development on the southwest corner of Charleston Boulevard and Lindell Road, Ward 1. Staff recommends denial. Staff report, please.
Mr. Chairman, no evidence of unique or extraordinary circumstance has been presented, and staff finds that the applicant has created a self-imposed hardship by proposing to allow multiple addresses for a single development where only 1 is allowed. Staff recommends denial. Please note that there have been additional letters of support and protest since publication. Thank you.
Please state your name for the record.
Good evening, David Turner with Boffman and Turner Engineering, representing the applicant. Here with me I have Rodman Jordan, who's the developer on this project. What we're asking for, this is a senior housing project at Charleston and Lindell. And what we're asking for is to have the mail delivered to all the buildings. Given the current environment with COVID and everything, we think it's smart to go ahead and separate those mailboxes out so there's not one central location. The post office has said as long as the city is okay with it, they're okay with delivering to each of those buildings. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you. This is noticed as a public hearing. Anybody from the public wish to be heard on this item? Seeing none here, council, anything online?
Chairman, no online comments.
All right, at this time, I'll close that as well and turn it over to Commissioner Rogan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Under our addressing, I guess, regulations, usually what we do is we have one address for the entirety of a complex. If it's comprised of 4 different buildings, then the buildings themselves are numbered individually. And the reason for that apparently is safety and security, so that fire can respond to a particular building if necessary. In reviewing this with the applicant, I had staff reach out to fire, and fire is apparently not concerned about that being an issue with this project. Deputy Chief, unless you have any other comment.
No, that is essentially correct.
Okay. Thank you. So given that there's not that security concern that underlied the reason why we have that regulation in place in our addressing policies, I'm confident that I would support this proposal. For that reason, I'll make a motion to approve item 20-0031-VAR1.
You've heard the motion. Please cast your vote. And that motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, that item is final action this evening unless appealed to the city clerk's office within 10 days.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 23, related 23A through C, 20-0036 for the possible action on the following land use entitlement project request at 1601 Industrial Road, Ward 3. Staff recommends denial. 23A 20-0036-SUP1 for a proposed car wash full service or auto detailing use. Staff recommends denial. Item number 23B, 20-0036-SUP2 for the proposed 4,022 square foot beer wine cooler off-sale establishment use. Staff recommends denial. And item number 23C, 20-0036-SDR1 for proposed 4,022 square foot convenience store and a 1,591 square foot car wash with a waiver of Appendix F internal downtown Las Vegas development standards. Staff recommends denial. May I have the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, although the requested uses meet Title 19 development standards and can be conducted harmoniously with surrounding development, staff finds that the requested waiver to not align the proposed structure with the front and corner yard property line is not appropriate for the subject location. Staff therefore recommends denial of all applications. Please note that there have been additional letters of support since publication. Thank you.
Thank you. Please state your name for the record.
Jemmy Nisley, 2111 Edgewood Avenue, Las Vegas, 89102. I'm with GK3 Architecture, representing the applicant, which is Terrible Herbst. And what we have is a convenience store with a detached fuel canopy and an attached car wash. And we have placed, which is typical for this project type, the fuel canopy at the corner. We have done this because we are working with the existing curb cuts, and for our turning radiuses and our traffic flow, this keeps the traffic able to maneuver through the site. We have the car wash located to the south, which we do meet stacking requirements, and with this layout, we're able to keep the car wash traffic to the south separated from the fueling traffic. So I think this is a good use for the site. I understand the development code requires for the building to be placed at the street, and I think for other uses that makes a lot of sense, and for other areas. This particular area, I think that we're not stopping a rhythm of buildings that are already facing the street. I think it is consistent with what is in the area right now. The building itself is going to have gaming and beer cooler and wine sales for off-site consumption, so we respectfully ask for the special use permits that we need for that, as well as the car wash, which will be an unattended car wash. We have allowed for landscaping in the area, which I think will be nice and is consistent with the area. And the materials on this building, I think it's important to point out that this is a very attractive building. The Herbst stores have been coming in with a nice variety of materials. So we have a lot of cultured stone, some aluminum metal siding, which has a wood appeal, and some concrete base. So I think with that and the metal canopies we have at the entrance, this will be a very nice looking store. The fuel canopy, which is facing the street, will also have the stone on the columns of the fuel canopy. So I think this will be a nice project for the area, and I'd be happy to answer any questions and hope to gain your support.
Thank you. Go ahead, Commissioner Cherry.
Through the chair, I've worked closely with GK3 recently on a project, and I've also sent some company projects over for her to look at. So out of abundance of caution, I'm not personally in contract with GK3 right now, but I should abstain from the vote.
I think I might have my same extension too. We built my training center together, so in abundance of caution, I'm going to abstain as well. My first one, and it had to be you. There you go. Okay, at this time, this is noticed as a public hearing. Anybody from the public wish to be heard? Seeing none here. Anything online?
Chairman, no.
Oh, I'll send it to him. Okay, go.
All right, I will go ahead and make a few comments. This is in my ward. I don't have a conflict. I hadn't talked to her in 8 years, so on any project. So, anyways, I like the project. I think it'll look beautiful in that neighborhood. It will be one of the nicest things in that area. I do understand that we're looking for that waiver on not orienting the building to the street. I think it's appropriate here at this particular location. I did have one concern, which is a similar concern we have on a lot of other items or other convenience stores, and it's single cells, and wondering if you would be open to putting a condition on that's very similar to other projects where we say no single cells will be allowed at this location.
You know, I have not discussed that with them, so
And so
I don't-
I'll give you a couple options here. So, I mean,
Okay.
I can't get behind that particular SUP without that condition. So
Okay.
basically, I think I could move for approval on a lot of the items you have here, with the exception of that one, if you don't do the, if you can't agree to that. If you could agree to that, then I think I could get behind that and make a motion to approve. And since this is a open meeting, I don't know if Mr. Lewis, if we can give them time to go call and trail this, but since it's already open, we kind of need to hear this.
No, we can trail it. If you'd
Would-
like to pause on the public hearing and trail the item, you can trail it.
Would you be able to get a hold of somebody
I believe I
at this
can.
hour?
I
So
think so.
we'll trail this item, and just raise your hand or come sit back up and when you're ready, and then we'll bring you back up to finish this item.
Okay, agreeable.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Vice Chair, would you like me to read the exact conditions so she knows what she's asking for?
Yes, that would be great.
So the proposed condition would be the sale of individual containers of any size of beer, wine coolers, or screw cap wine is prohibited. All such products shall remain in their original configurations as shipped by the manufacturer. Further, no repackaging of containers into groups smaller shall be permitted.
All right, thank you. We'll go ahead and trail this item for the time being, and I'll turn this back over to the chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Slotman. We'll move on to item number 24, related items A through B. Item 24 is 20-0071 for the possible action on the following land use entitlement project request at 2400 North Michael Way, Ward 5. Staff recommends denial of the land use entitlement project. And under 24A, 20-0071 SUP 1 for a church house of worship use, staff recommends denial. And item 24B, 20-0071 SDR 1 for a 16,870 square foot church house of worship, staff recommends denial. May I have the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the design of the proposed church house of worship development utilizes building materials that feature a variety of metal siding. These materials are industrial in nature and are not permitted to be used for residentially zoned properties. In doing so, the proposed development is not harmonious or compatible with the surrounding residential development. Therefore, staff recommends denial on this application. Please note, additional letters of support and protest were received after publication. Thank you.
Thank you. Please come forward, state your name for the record.
Richard Box, 5508 Donald Road, pastor at Living Grace Foursquare Church.
My name is Dawn Box, 5508 Donald Road.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing us to be here. We, in the design of our building, we wanted to do something that was compatible with a use permit that was already established. It expired in October of 2019. And so we looked at what the previous church, who does own the property, had done, and we thought we wanted to do something similar to that. We also did some driving around the neighborhood, and you'll see, if you can see that there was Doris Reed Elementary School, which has some different types of finishes on it, utilizing some metal and some metal siding and things like that. And there's a church that's down the street. It's probably 2 blocks away, Guias Family Church, and they also have metal siding. And so we think that the siding and the material that we're using is something that's going to be very compatible with what's already existing within even half a mile of where we are, even less than that. We also went and we canvassed the neighborhood and spoke to some neighbors, and all of the reports that we got were favorable for those that did open their doors. And also there was one in particular that we talked to who said that she was really excited as we showed her what the design looked like, was one of the neighbors to see what it looked like, and she was very favorable in the design of what we're trying to do. So we're trying to enhance the community, and we consider ourselves a part of a community no matter where we are. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Would you like to say anything?
I think he did well. I think he covered everything. The lady that we talked to that gave us the favorable approval of this property, her property aligns the back of where our property would be. She's actually closing escrow in 2 weeks on her property. Her name was Renee Waters. And so she was excited that there would be a church there. She said, I think that's the best use for that property. And we did show her, like he said, we did show her the pictures of the building, and she thought it looked great, would look great, and improve their neighborhood, actually. So, yeah, with that, we would appreciate your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is noticed as a public hearing. Does anybody from the public wish to be heard on this agenda item? Seeing none here, I'll close it. Council?
Chairman, no online comments.
And no online. Okay, at this time, then I will turn it over to Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm sorry, sir. Could you repeat your name again? I didn't get.
Richard Box, B-O-X.
Mr. Boss, thank you.
Box, B-O-X.
B-O-X?
Yes, sir.
Box.
Box.
Got it.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Box, were there ever any conversations or, agreements to look at the design and maybe adjust the design so it was more compatible with the neighborhood, or dial down the corrugated building siding or anything?
There were some discussions with that. We also just wanted to do something that was a little more modern and something that we thought would be compatible as well. Yes, sir.
Okay. Were there any commitments to make any changes, or you guys would just look at considering it?
I don't think there were any commitments to making changes. I mean, we're open to, I mean, this is where we want to be. There's a long list of reasons that's why we want to be in this property, but that's just our preference.
And we did go talk to the neighbors about it, and that's why we went around the neighborhood on this past Saturday and showed the neighbors what we wanted to do there, and like I said, from everyone that we talked to, they were in favor of it, so we went ahead with what we had on the plan.
I understand. Just looking at staff's recommendation, we always like to make sure that projects are compatible with the surrounding area, and considering the high propensity of this being a residential area. You have a lot of houses around you. Something like this is pretty out of the norm in terms of like-for-like design, or at least being compatible to the neighborhood. Would you be opposed to taking a look at the design to maybe alter at all?
Well, this is where we feel like we're called to be, and so I'd like to show you, if I may briefly, what some of the compatible buildings look like that are very, very close. This is the middle school that is Doris Reed Elementary School that is nearby, and you'll see the blue coloring and the siding on that one.
It's all metal.
That's metal. And then as well, this is the church down Michael Way to the north of the property, and you'll see some metal siding here. This picture, various faces and some metal siding that's there as well.
Do you have a photo of your
Yes, sir.
proposed?
I do.
Can we zoom in? Okay. I could see where we could, okay, thank you. Any comments from other commissioners?
Yes.
Commissioner Slotman?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've personally built some lofts downtown covered with metal on 11th and Carson, and I think it can fit. One of the things that would have benefited you just a little bit would have been giving us a color elevation so we could have seen those colors. I do see the little color material board on there, but having the whole picture and showing where those different colors were would have helped the commission understand it a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times when you offer that, then we can look at it and say, okay, this is a beautiful looking project and it is compatible. And I mean, looking at the other rendering that you have, I think it would work, but I'll leave that up to the commissioner if he feels that he's satisfied or not, or needs that color rendering, so.
Thank you, Commissioner Saltman. Commissioner Rogan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with Commissioner Schlotman. It would be really helpful to have seen that beforehand. I mean, I actually lived in the buildings that Commissioner Schlotman made with the metal siding, and it worked really well for that downtown location. Frankly, I think the school that was built is not that compatible with the neighborhood, so there's obviously a concern that I find it difficult to justify your project based upon a project that I don't think was very compatible with the neighborhood there as well. So this looks to me like a great-looking building, and I would defer to Commissioner Williams, but I would like to take some time to actually look at it more, and if Commissioner Williams would also agree, perhaps we should continue this maybe 30 days to reconsider.
And
Commissioner Slotman?
Yes, and Chairman, thank you. One last comment. Now seeing this current rendering, that helps out a lot. I think it's a great looking building. You can either go way off the charts and go off into a design area that we don't want to be in with the wrong use of the metal, but I think you did a good job with the way that you're using them within this rendering, so I think I could support it.
I thank you, Commissioner Williams. Commissioner Chada?
Yes, I wanted to compliment you and tell you that this is a beautiful building, and I like the way the metal is, it works, it fits. So I could definitely get behind this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So having had an opportunity to see to Commissioner Rogan's point, the school did look a little out of sorts there in terms of being compatible, but nevertheless, it's there. This is, in terms of color, toned down, and it is a beautiful building. And so at this time, I'm ready to make a motion, a blanket motion.
Okay, please do, and if there's no other disagreements on any of them, please make a blanket motion.
I'd like to make a motion for approval, blanket a motion on item 200071, 24A and 24B.
Okay, you've heard the motion. Please cast your vote. And that motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, item 200071 or project 200071, both items A and B will move forward to City Council and be heard as a part of their agenda on October 21st, 2020.
All right.
Good to go.
Thank you for your service.
Okay, moving on to agenda item number 26, 20-0047-SDR1, for the possible action on a land use entitlement project request for a site development plan review for a proposed two-story, 12-unit multifamily residential development with waivers of perimeter landscape buffer development standards to allow 12 parking spaces where 23 are required and to allow a 6-foot yard setback where 10 feet is required at 1521 G Street, Ward 5. Staff recommends denial. Staff report, please.
Mr. Chairman, although the proposal presents much-needed multifamily housing within the downtown Las Vegas historic West Side area, staff finds that the requested waivers of the required setbacks, parking spaces, landscape buffers, and exception of required planting materials reinforce the unsuitability of the proposed development for the surrounding area. For these reasons, staff recommends denial on the proposed development. Thank you.
Thank you. Please state your name for the record.
Good evening. Sheldon Colange, 2580 St. Rose Parkway, representing the applicant. As staff said, it's 3 buildings, 4 plexes each, and a little history behind this. When we first came in for staff review quite a few months ago, we originally had 2 of the 4 plexes shown, and per staff's request, they asked us to show the 3. They felt that since this was going to be in the new form-based code, that it would be more in line with what that would allow. So we did redesign it, and actually per staff's little sketch they gave us, and they said that they felt that it could be a supported design based on the future code changes that was in draft mode at the time. So presented in front of you is what we proceeded with based on that recommendation. Of course, I'm not trying to hold staff liable for their trying to help me or anything like that, and there are some items that, of course, they can't, approve, which is typical for situations like this. But we ask that since we put so much time based on some recommendations and the future code that is going to be changing soon with any luck, we ask for an approval on what you have in front of you.
Thank you. This is noticed as a public hearing. Anybody from the public who wishes to be heard on this agenda item, please come forward and state your name for the record. There's 3 microphones. And if you would move back, sir, just take a seat, let them do what their thing is, and we'll bring you back up. Good evening.
My name is Cordelia Wallace. I live at 610 West Van Buren Avenue. I've been over in that area since 1999, so I have a lot of experience as to what's going on over there. I'm curious, I have a letter here from the Walker African American Museum and Research Center. I don't know if this was sent to the commission ahead of time, because if it has not, then I would like to read, because the owner of the museum was not able to make it due to health issues.
Please go ahead.
Okay. To whom it may concern, we are opposed to the application for Mr. Crawley to build a 2-story, 12-unit multifamily development with waivers for landscaping and parking waivers, and to allow a 6-foot setback. It is in our opinion that the proposed lots are too small to try and cram this size of apartment units in. It will cause congestion in the small and narrow curve. Allowing the requested waivers would also continue to allow building with less consideration of providing comparable housing, beautification, and adequate parking, like most units in other areas of the city. In our opinion, a better option would be a commercial single-occupant building, or at max a duplex at the proposed location. We, like most of the area property owners, would like to see the positive development and rooftops and commercial buildings for our community, but not cramming the most for simple monetary gain. We have surrounding single-family homes, and such a structure would drastically change the aesthetics of the immediate corner. Therefore, we implore the planning department to consider the wishes of the surrounding property owners and the overall future plans of said property owners. Thank you for your careful consideration and listening to the people who live, work, and do business in the area. Respectfully yours, Juanita Walker and Gwen Walker, the Walker African American Museum and Research Center.
Thank you, ma'am. Did anybody else wish to be heard? Please come forward, state your name for the record. Set the clock at 3 minutes, please.
Good evening, Commissioners. My pleasure to be here. Could you put that picture back up? Because I'm the resident that's...
Wait, please state your name for the record.
My name is Leonard Martin, and Leonard Martin, 623 Harrison Avenue. My property sits less than 200 feet from that photo right there across the street from that fence. I've been a resident for 17 years in the 5th Ward, Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm a transplant from the city of Chicago, Illinois. And my life changed, and I was able to buy me a piece of property, $250,000 investment. Now, when I first moved into the neighborhood, it was noisy, foot traffic. Within a week of me purchasing that property, they stole my air conditioning unit outside of my house. I was told by the insurance company that They ain't telling me what to do, but they suggest I find a way to protect my property. So I walked around the entire 2 blocks of that neighborhood wondering, I'm working 2 jobs, my wife is in California taking care of her parents, her elderly parents. I'm wondering, why did they break into my house? Why did they steal from my house? And I walked around and I noticed that I have a corner property, but I don't have no dogs. The resident on the end of the block had dogs in their backyard. So I waited, I told my wife, and I waited till I come home. Matter of fact, I went to the police station to put in a report on Las Vegas Boulevard and Stewart. The police laughed at me. He said, come here, Jim, see what this gentleman is talking about. He said, tell him what you're talking about, Mr. Martin. I said, they stole my air conditioner. They thought it was a joke. But it cost me a $500 payment to my insurance company to get that $5,000 air conditioning
Mr. Martin, I need you to stick to the application.
Okay, I got $250,000 invested in that property, 17 years. That property, I called the city to keep it cleaning up for over a decade and a half. Now you want to put apartment building. I hear you using language in this meeting, it don't fit the landscape. That projected building doesn't fit our landscape. And if it was that important, how come it's not in the 100 plan? So let me live the American dream and get some investment off my investment. Thank you very much. And I sent my opposed card in, the post office sent it back. So can I give it to the planning commission along with the second one they sent out so I can be on file? I'm opposing both of them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to be heard on this agenda item? Please come forward, state your name for the record.
Hello, my name is Evelyn Cerna.
And Salvador Cerna, we're husband and wife.
Wait, please say your names again for the clerk.
Evelyn Cerna.
And Salvador Cerna.
All right, thank you very much. Go ahead.
Yeah, we are opposed to the project. That's what we're here for. We've been living there for more than 15 years already. And anything that has to do with building apartments is going to affect our property value. So it's affecting the property value as it is already, but that's going to make it more worse.
It's a 2-story. It's not always good looking over our yards, and a lot of people live in apartments from other experiences from other people that live next to apartments. They see and watch what you do every time and steal whatever they want because they see what you do. Their eyes are like an eagle, you know? So I don't think it's good for us.
I appreciate you coming down. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your time. How do I turn this in to post?
Staff will grab it. Thank you very much. Anybody else wish to be heard on this item? Please come forward, state your name for the record.
Hello, my name is Ms. Neblett, Kathleen Neblett. This is my husband, Roosevelt Neblett. First of all, we never received a card for today's meeting. This is the one from the 15th, for September the 15th. Just to let you know, we never received it. And we've been in our property for 20 years. We've been there since 1999 as well. We've seen all the traffic and everything. We are opposed to this. We don't want this in our community. We don't want it. I'm right there on the corner of G and Van Buren. He's going to be on G. I'm right there, G and Van Buren. If I look out of my kitchen window, not even right across the street, it's right there, eyesore. If I go in my bedroom, my back bedroom window, it's an eyesore. We oppose it. We don't want this in our neighborhood. Let our neighborhood be. If you want to beautify the neighborhood. But no, we don't want the traffic. We've seen everything from drug deals, everything that could possibly go on that street. And we don't have it now. We don't even have people walking up and down the sidewalk. We oppose to this. Don't bring this in our neighborhood. Go somewhere else. You can go to Summerlin, Desert Shore, wherever you want to go. Don't bring it on our west side. Don't bring it on G Street.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to be heard?
Yeah, we neighbors. We don't want that on our side.
Please state your name for the record.
Yes, my name is Miriam Medina. I've been living on that the area, 618 West Van Buren Avenue, for 14 years. We used to live in LA, and we used to live in two apartment building with 20 units, and it was a hassle to always trying to find parking. We moved away, we moved there, and we liked it so much because we had the space and the privacy, and with that, that's not gonna help us. It's gonna make it worse for us. So I want my privacy, and if you guys really wanna make something really nice, just keep it away from us. Yep.
Thank you.
And I oppose it, and I did not get one of those little pamphlets to oppose it at all. Don't, yeah, I didn't get one, my neighbors didn't get one either. So, okay?
Okay, thank you. Anybody else wish to be heard? Seeing none, I'll close the, come on down.
Good afternoon. Walter Jones, 700 West Van Buren. I'm a property owner. When I first seen this, I'm trying to figure out how you're going to get 12 units on a small lot. My property faces the front of that. I'm on Van Buren, it's right behind my property. So if you look on Van Buren, then it's an alley, then it's that lit lot right there that comes around Harris and G Street. So I don't know why did even bring it up to say to put 12 units in actual parking spaces. Since I've been over there, actually, I've been actually improving the area along with these other residents that's been investing money in their property. And only thing I can see fit over there is probably a house, not no apartment complex. That won't do that area any good. They're trying to build the area back up, and I don't think that'll do good over there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Anybody else wish to make a comment? Okay, seeing none, I'll close it here and open it up for online.
Yes, Chairman. We do have one online comment, but the first speaker read in the comment, the letter that was received from Juanita Walker and Gwen Walker with the Walker African American Museum and Research Center. So I don't think I need to read that in again.
All right, thank you. At this time, I will hand it over to the Planning Commissioner, Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Hold on, sir. Go ahead. Would you like to rebut anything?
No, I'm going to let the commissioner talk.
Okay, he's going to defer over to Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, sir. So taking a look at this project, there are quite a few items that I think we definitely need to look at. And you did open with the project, I think, was smaller in scale initially, and of course, through conversations, you expanded it. I would say this, and this is typically the way I like to look at things when you're trying to enter a neighborhood, is you've got to really connect and meet with the residents and help them understand, orient them to the project, what you're trying to do. It would be my recommendation, if you're open, for a 30-day abeyance on this, if we could, to give it time to really get a better understanding, and if you chose to modify scope or scale. But I think we owe the residents at least a full review of the project and to talk through it.
I think that would be acceptable.
So at this time, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion. Oh, go ahead, Commissioner.
Commissioner Slotman?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Commissioner. I would like to say the parking where you're trying to get 12 parking spaces where 23 are required. We've looked at parking on a lot of these over the past year, and that's a far stretch. Because you're going to have people with vehicles moving into these apartments, and we don't want them parking in the neighborhood, taking up all the parking spaces. So, and we don't want to burden the neighbors with that. So think about that if you do make any revisions to the number of parking spaces or reducing the quantity. But for me, you definitely are going to have to get these neighbors on. They come out in force, and if we can't come to some kind of consensus where the neighbors are supporting this. It's going to be really difficult for me to get behind this. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Toussaint.
Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Slotman. You're severely underparked, Mr. Collins, severely underparked. And I can tell you that, people are going to park in the neighborhood, and the people that live in the neighborhood are not going to like that. So I think that that's a real issue that you're going to have to address when you come back in 30 days. Thank you.
Okay, I just want to make a comment before I turn it over to Commissioner Williams. We had a similar situation, I believe it was on Charleston and Lindell, with the one project that was just here before, where they had to go back to the drawing board because the neighbors behind that property were concerned. They had little kids, and they were afraid they didn't want people staring into the backyard, into their pool areas and stuff, so that building was redesigned to where anything that faced the adjacent properties didn't have windows for people to be staring into people's backyards, so you might want to take that into consideration. I have a rub with the parking as well. It's always gave me a problem, but, and the other concern is I honestly think it's overbuilt. I honestly think you're going to have to choke it down a little bit. That's my personal opinion, but I could deal with the two-story if the windows do not intrude on anybody's backyards. I'm fine with that, and they face just a regular street, but the parking in 12 units, that's my main rub, so I just want to put that on the record. Commissioner Williams, or Commissioner Cherry.
Through the chair, question for staff. Wasn't one of the initiatives of the Historic West Side home ownership or pride of ownership, and was that in the document?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, so yes, so in the 100 plan, there's a couple different goals around residential. One of those is to provide opportunities for home ownership, but also densification of the Historic West Side. As you can see on the aerial, there's quite a bit of, unfortunately, vacant land because people have moved out over multiple generations at this point. So the goal of the plan is twofold. One, to diversify and provide some additional density within the district, get those rooftops so you can get some of those other amenities like some additional grocery options and some other things. But also, you're absolutely correct, Commissioner, one of the other goals is to create opportunities for home ownership, again, in a variety of housing contexts, smaller starter homes as well as larger family homes for people to age in place within the community and be able to go from, starter home all the way through retirement and stay within the community without having to look elsewhere to find the necessary housing to do that.
Yeah, and I feel like we had an applicant 4 or 5 months ago that proposed couple townhomes in this area, and I thought it was fantastic. I think we approved it, and I hope to see more of that coming in the neighborhood. Personally, I will say that the letter written by Juanita Wallace, I think it was a nice letter. I clearly understood the stance. It was nice to hear some options that the applicant could look at, so do appreciate that letter coming in, but I do feel that it is a little dense, and I'm not so hip to the multifamily without the ownership on it at the moment. So, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cherry. Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and fellow commissioners. So at this time, I would still like to continue this item, give the applicant a chance to reevaluate the project in its entirety based on previous conversations. And listen, I understand that we're looking at future form-based codes and different things that will allow for more leniency in parking and things that are happening, but we also have to make sure that whatever we do is compatible with the neighborhood. So I'd like to make a motion at this time, Mr. Chair.
Please do.
To continue item 20, a blanket motion, continue item, actually not a blanket motion, my correction, continue item 200047 SDR1 for 30 days.
That would be to the October 13th meeting, I believe.
And you good with that, sir?
Yep.
Okay, you've heard the motion. Please cast your vote.
And Mr. Chairman, before we vote, question for the motion maker. Would that be with a required meeting?
Yes.
Neighborhood meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And you agree to that, sir? Neighborhood meeting?
We might need 60 days for that.
I would agree. He probably needs a little bit more time than 30 days to
I wanna-
revise plans and
we
listen
wanna
to
be able to-
Rescind that motion,
I will rescind that motion.
and please state,
Just a minute.
please state a fresh motion.
So a fresh motion to extend item 200047 SDR1 for 60 days.
And Mr. Chairman, that'll put us out to the November 10th Planning Commission meeting.
Yes, we're okay.
All right, thank you. You've heard the motion. Please cast your vote. And that motion carries.
Sounds good.
No staff, we good? Okay, moving on to agenda item number 28, 20-0072-SDR1 for a proposed action on a land use entitlement project request for a site development plan review for a proposed 871 square foot drive-through coffee shop with a waiver of the building orientation requirements at 6651 West Charleston Boulevard, Ward 1. Staff recommends approval. Staff report, please.
Mr. Chairman, staff finds that the proposed coffee shop to be a compatible use along the Charleston Boulevard commercial corridor. Additionally, the proposed development supports the goals and objectives of the redevelopment plan. Therefore, staff recommends approval on this site development plan review. Thank you.
Okay, I guess.
You're an applicant.
Okay, please state your name for the record, Jay.
For the record, Jay Brown, 520 South 4th Street, representing the applicant. With me from my office is Lebany Ohini. As you heard, the applicant is proposing to construct a 871-square-foot drive-through coffee shop on the southeast corner of Charleston Boulevard and Redwood Street. Redwood Street is one block east of Rainbow, and we're right across the street from New Horizons. The proposed coffee shop would operate as a Dutch Brothers Coffee. This business model is drive-through only and provides no indoor or outdoor seating. Because the applicant is providing that drive-through is with no interior seating and for customers, it makes locating the building on the corner just not possible. So we're asking for a waiver. And staff supports our application, and we'd appreciate your support as well.
Thank you. This is noticed as a public hearing. Anybody from the public wish to be heard? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing here. Anything online, council?
Nothing online, Chairman.
All right, thank you. I'll turn this on over to Commissioner Rogan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did speak with the applicant's representative, Mr. Brown. As long as you are okay with all of the conditions that have been placed by staff, including the dedication of the right-of-way, I'm ready to support this application.
We are.
If there's no other further comment, I'd make a motion to approve item 28, project 20-0072 SDR1.
Okay, you've heard the motion. Please cast your vote. And that motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, that item will move forward to City Council and be heard as a part of their agenda on October 21st, 2020.
Thank you very much.
We're going to pull items 23 forward, A through C again, and I'll turn it over to Co-Chair.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I'm going to go ahead and reopen item number 23, where we took a brief pause to let the applicant go talk to the representative, talk to the applicant, so.
Okay, so I'm sorry I was not able to get a hold of Mr. Herbst, but I was able to speak with the office and just kind of shed some light on the magnitude of that request. That is equal to 30% of the sales, and we would be at a disadvantage because the two 7-Elevens that are right adjacent to us and the third store, I'm not remembering the brand, that's right in the immediate vicinity, all have that ability. So I'm not able to be in acceptance of that condition because of the disadvantage. And
Okay, so just my personal opinion, putting more of that on the street is not appropriate, and that's my position. So I do understand their position, but I'm ready to make a motion based on this.
Well, it seems like if we have an item that not everybody might agree upon, then let's not blanket that one. Let's do it individually.
I'll take it individually.
Thank you.
just because I feel strongly about this in my ward, and, you know, all the applications that's come before us, you know, we've tried to restrict this, so. Anyways, on item number 23, it's 20-0036 SUP 1, which is for the car wash. I move to approve. And all right, and that motion carries. On item 23B, 20-0036 SUP2 for the proposed 4,022 square foot beer wine cooler off-sale establishment, I would make a motion to follow staff's recommendation for denial. A yes vote is for denial. And that motion is carries, it's denied. On item 23C, 20-0036 SDR1, I would make a motion to approve based on the testimony heard tonight. And that motion carries.
And Mr. Vice Chair, Project 200036, A, B, and C, will all move forward as one project to City Council and be heard as a part of their meeting on October 21st, 2020.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to citizen...
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, if I might, just for the applicant's sake, I would reach out to the ward office prior to that council meeting to have a discussion concerning the condition.
Okay.
And the denied item.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is 29, citizen participation. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of the Planning Commission. No subject may be acted upon by the Planning Commission unless the subject on the agenda and is scheduled for action. If you wish to be heard, please come forward to the podium, give your name for the record, the amount of discussion at any of the single subjects, as well as the amount of time any single speaker will be allowed, will be limited. Seeing none, I will close the public comment.
Nothing online, Chairman.
And meeting adjourned.